Good evening there, everybody. What is happening? Hopefully, y'all are having a wonderful day today. So, when it comes down to it, I thought, of course, that I would review this this fight here, or excuse me, not review it, but that I would give my little fight breakdown and my fight prediction and my final fight analysis of the Subriel Matias versus Liam Paro fight, and out of any other fight that's going to be happening tomorrow, because I did not realize that this fight or this card was going to be happening on the same night as the Javante Tank Davis versus Frank Martin fight, or card, which also is a very decent card. Of course, David Benavidez, he fights against Alexander Vosdik, but to me, that's just kind of a filler because, I mean, Alexander Vosdik really hasn't been the same level of fighter ever since he got stopped by Artebidibiev. So to me, that's just kind of to see how David Benavidez is going to be able to handle the size against some of those light heavyweight fighters. I really don't take that as a serious great co-main event in my personal view. So to be quite honest with you, if the Javante Tank Davis versus Frank Martin fight, if that is not happening by the time this fight starts, this would probably be the better co-main event in my view, even though of course it's a completely different card and it's going to be the main event on a different card. But out of all the fights that are happening tomorrow, to be quite honest with you, the fight that is going to excite me the most is probably going to be this one. Because out of any other fight that's going to be happening tomorrow, I believe that the fight that is closest to 50-50 is going to be this fight. It's going to be very particularly interesting. Now, I think that a lot of people more than likely would have Subriel Matias favored within this fight, but I'm not really quite sure how clear it's going to be. The first time that I seen Liam Paro, this Australian guy right here, he I believe that he was fighting against that one black American fighter, Montana Love, who of course got stopped, I believe, a couple of times within his past couple of outings. But what I did see from him in that fight watching it is that this dude Liam Paro right here, that he's definitely no slouch. And this guy right here, to be quite honest with you, out of any other boxer that Subriel Matias has probably fought or ever faced before in his career, he's probably clearly going to be the most talented fighter that Subriel Matias has ever fought in his career. But that being said, for that of Liam Paro, Subriel Matias is definitely going to be the most dangerous opponent that Liam Paro has ever fought in his career. Or however you pronounce the last name, Paro. Paro. I'm not, I'm not exactly sure. I could be pronouncing it wrong. I apologize if I am. But this kid right here, Liam Paro, I'll just say that for right now, he's extremely talented. When I take a look at him, I think that he has a great lead hand. Not only does he know how to jab, but he knows how to get it in there. He knows how to throw feints. He knows overall how to set you up for a left hook and a great right hook, or a left cross, excuse me, and a great right hook. He has great setup ability. He knows how to go to the body a little bit. He has excellent defense when he is throwing a lead hand. A lot of the times he has his left hand right up by his chin. He does not make the same mistake as a lot of fighters do, like Devin Haney, for example. When you talk about his technical ability, and apparently this dude used to be an electrician, so I don't know when he really started boxing. But if you take a look at this kid, you would think that he would have been boxing ever since he had been 9 or 10 years old. He has extremely crisp overall technique. When you talk about his footwork, I think that it's very quick. I think he's very balanced on both feet. I think that he has a great distribution of weight in both feet to make him very light on his feet. He has a great lead hand. He has great lead hand play overall for that, once again, of a boxer. And Subriel Matias, once again, the reason why this fight is going to be so particularly interesting is because this is going to be a complete technician versus that of a bulldozer. This is going to be the matador versus that of the bull. That said, the bull is even going to be more dangerous than usual because Subriel Matias is a very particularly interesting type of fighter. He's not a fighter, in my view, that I would say is very multi-dimensional. He's not a fighter that I would say that has a multitude of ways of fighting. But what Subriel Matias does have is that he has excellent will, is that he has better defense than what you might think, and a little bit of better head movement than what you might think, and he's just completely relentless. Subriel Matias, what he likes to do is that he kind of tricks people into thinking overall that you're going to beat him because he kind of gives you the first couple of rounds. He kind of lets you blow your whole entire energy or a lot of your energy within the first couple of rounds. That's what I noticed with him within a couple of fights. And then eventually, all he's going to be waiting for you to do is that you're going to be hitting his arms, you're going to be hitting his elbows. He's going to be ducking down, moving in and out a little bit. He doesn't have an excellent lead hand from what I see, but that's not really what Subriel Matias' plan is. Subriel Matias knows what his plan is going to be. He's going to try to be on the inside against you the whole entire time. He's going to land whatever he's going to land, and at first, it's maybe not going to hurt that much, but as long as he's getting inside on you and as long as he is landing certain punches, eventually those power punches are going to come. And it doesn't take that much with Subriel Matias. So this is going to be a very particularly interesting fight because I could truly see this fight heading either way. The question is about both fighters is that is Liam Paro going to be overall good enough? Is he going to have enough stamina and the level of athleticism and power and the level of defense shown in some of his other fights against a fighter like that of a Subriel Matias? How good is his defense to his body? How good is his stamina going to be? And can he hurt Subriel Matias and really push him back? And is he going to fight the right level of strategy? How well is he going to be able to hold up for 12 full rounds against someone like a Subriel Matias? And the question is about Subriel Matias is that how well is he going to do against a boxer that appears probably to be more talented than the other boxers that he's faced, someone that has a better lead hand than what he does, someone overall that has better movement than what he does, certainly better feet overall than what he does, but maybe not someone that would be looked at as quite as gifted of an athlete as what he is, especially in the power department. So the question is, once again, is for both fighters, is that will Subriel Matias, will his bulldozer way of fighting, will it finally overall kind of bite him in the ass? Will he finally have to find a different way of fighting to beat this guy? Will, his fighting style finally kind of get a little bit exposed in this fight? Or will Subriel Matias once again kind of bulldoze through an opponent who is extremely talented, but we don't know quite the level of power nor stamina that he's going to have against an opponent like this? To be honest, this fight is very particularly interesting. But once again, it's gonna be interesting to see what ends up happening in the beginning of this fight. Liam Paro, if I were going to, give him, or Paro, however you pronounce his name, if I was going to give the Australian advice, I would say stick that lead hand to the body, double jab the Subriel Matias, get that left hand to the body early, get him to drop his hands so you can potentially in the middle rounds hit him with a great left. The kid has a great left and he has a great right hook over the top that he can hurt you with. If he can hit Subriel Matias right to the temple with a good left cross over the top or potentially hurt that of Subriel Matias and knock him down, he's going to win the fight. But once again, we need to see that. So what Liam Paro is going to have to do within this fight is that he's going to have to start off to the body very early on, because that's one of Subriel Matias' weaknesses. He usually has a high guard. Now he doesn't have the high guard constantly, but he doesn't really have a whole bunch of other guards. So Liam Paro is going to have to make sure that he uses his feet, which oftentimes he does very well. He's going to have to always make sure that he has the speed advantage and that he's one step ahead against that of Subriel Matias. He's going to have to jab to the body, repeatedly get in there with the left hook, and then eventually the hands may be able to drop and you may be able to hit Subriel Matias with something. Because a lot of the times also with Subriel Matias, a lot of people are not really able to hit him flush because his defense is actually a lot better than what certain people might think. He's not someone like, a Rolly Romero, who's just, a guy that may come forward in some of his fights where he chooses to be a little bit more offensive and his hands are down and his chin is wide open in the air. Even when Subriel Matias does get hit, a lot of the punches land on the forehead or they land that area to where more than likely they would not hurt that bad. So Liam Paro, once again, is going to be interesting. He's going to have to be very technical in this fight. Do not get in the range with Subriel Matias to the point to where you believe that you need to back him up. There may be certain rounds where you have to do that, but if you fight the whole entire fight like that, especially very early on, you are eventually going to get dropped or stopped in this fight against Subriel Matias. He just has way too much power, and on top of that, his defense is a little bit better than what you may think. So Liam Paro is going to have to be a matador throughout this whole entire fight. He's going to have to keep that lead hand. He's going to have to try to land that right hook over the top. He's going to have to try to get that left cross in there. And he's going to have to make sure that he is on his bike throughout a good majority of this fight. And that if Subriel Matias, that if he gets too close, tie him up, frustrate him, push him up against the ropes. But you don't want to be super close to Matias trying to land those uppercuts and hooks to the body very early on, trying to show Matias that, listen, you're not going to bully me and that, overall this isn't going to happen. You can't beat Subriel Matias that way. Now, there are certain fighters to where you may have to do that a little bit. Like, for example, I would say that Frank Martin, at least at certain times, is going to have to do that against Gervonta Tank Davis, or at least land a good left over the top and kind of push him back. Liam Paro, it would be nice if he can push Subriel Matias back, but he's going to have to do it in a more intelligent manner and in a more cautious manner than what a Frank Martin is going to have to do against Gervonta Tank Davis. Because Subriel Matias is a guy to where he wants you to wear himself out. he wants you overall, to wear himself out against that within the first few rounds, he wants to take a few more rounds out of you, than what you would have a little bit later on. He kind of tricks you into thinking that you may have him, and then eventually, once again, he shows you his stamina, he shows you his level of power. So if I'm Liam Paro, if I'm him, I'm not trying to blow my whole entire energy within the first few rounds. Don't worry about hurting Subriel Matias. Do not worry about trying to stop him. Be technical. Do not throw a whole lot of punches within those first few rounds, but be sure to throw enough overall to make sure that you capture at least 2 of those first 3 rounds, if not all 3 of them. Show him your jab, show him a good left hand over the top, and then at times when he gets a little bit more aggressive, you can kind of work a little bit more against him. But you're going to have stamina for the middle and the last part of this fight. Do not blow your energy in the first part of this fight, because if you do, Subriel Matias is going to go after you. He's going to knock you down once or twice and potentially stop you anywhere from round 9 overall all the way to round 11. I promise you. So once again, Liam Paro is going to have to be very smart here. And he is a very intelligent fighter. He's incredibly intelligent. Once again, he has a great lead hand. He has excellent feet. He has excellent body work. He has excellent head work. He has a great right hook and a great overhand left. This dude really, to be quite honest with you, looks like if he wins this fight, that he could be potentially, at least in terms of technical wise, to where he honestly could be the most talented 140 pounder there. And a certain amount of people, may disagree with me on that. The only thing that I would say once again is that he doesn't appear to have devastating power, but he has good enough power to where he should be able to keep Subriel Matias back. But once again, do not throw a whole lot within the first part of the rounds. Subriel Matias is more than likely going to give you the first part of those rounds. Keep him outside of distance in the range. Hit him to the body. He does not defend super well to the body because he has a high guard. Throw him right in the middle of his midsection and then get him over the top once again with a good left. That's what Liam Paro is going to have to do. And then at times, yes, you'll have to turn it up in the middle rounds, maybe in the latter rounds, but keep on the back foot in this fight. Do not wear yourself out. Overall, once again, make sure not to blow your whole entire load or to blow your whole entire stamina, throughout the first part of this fight. All right? Be very careful. As for Subriel Matias, what would I recommend for him? Liam Paro, once again, has a great lead hand. Subriel Matias is going to have to get in there, and once again, it's going to be interesting to see, overall what he's going to be able to do, because Subriel Matias, in my view, does not have the level of technique that a Liam Paro does. He just doesn't. But once again, Subriel Matias doesn't try to pretend like he does. Subriel Matias is not one of these guys overall that tries to sit here and pretend that his boxing level of IQ is super duper high. Subriel Matias knows the type of fighter that he is. And he knows that in order for him to win, that he's going to have to get on the inside. But he has such a level of power and such a level of pace and stamina that even if he doesn't completely throw with all of his torque, he can still hurt you. Subriel Matias' goal, once again, is a long-run game. It's not immediate. Subriel Matias plans to wear you down over time. He doesn't plan to get you immediately within the first few rounds. So he's not going to be intimidated if he gets hit with a couple of good shots early. That's not what Subriel Matias is about. He plans to knock you out over time. So Liam Paro is going to have to be intelligent throughout this whole entire fight. We'll see. I do believe that Liam Paro is the more talented, and I do believe overall that he is the better boxer. But that being said, I do believe that Subriel Matias, that his athleticism, and I do believe that his level of power, I do believe that eventually that they are going to get to Liam Paro. So I am picking Subriel Matias to win this fight either by unanimous decision or latter round stoppage. But if Liam Paro were able to win this fight, I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever. And to be honest with you, I hope to see Liam Paro possibly pull out this fight, because I think that, to be honest with you, that in terms of a technical level, that he's extremely talented. I even seen certain clips of him against Shakur Stevenson, and Shakur Stevenson was even having a handful with this guy. Now, of course, there were certain times where Shakur, of course, maybe could get the better of him, but the fact that Liam Paro was actually giving Shakur Stevenson a little bit of issues, or at least a handful, it shows you the level of talent that this kid actually has. And apparently, rumors, from what I heard of it, he was actually able to hurt Shakur Stevenson within that sparring. So once again, the question is that will Liam Paro have the level of power overall to hurt that of Subriel Matias, and will he have the level of stamina? Those are the two questions that I really just don't know. And that's why I'm going with Subriel Matias in order to win this fight, because I think that Paro eventually will get hit a little bit more than, what he wants to. But once again, we'll see. We'll see. Liam Paro needs to be smart within this fight. He needs to make sure that he does not throw a whole lot, at least to the point to where he wears himself out. That's exactly what Subriel Matias wants you to do. As for Matias, if the lead hand and if the movement does provide issues, Subriel Matias is going to have to be very active within this fight, and he's going to have to possibly risk getting hit with a good shot or getting knocked down in this fight. And that's what Liam Paro wants. Just slightly outbox him in the first few rounds, kind of coax him, kind of overall, hypnotize him a little bit, and then get him to run into a good left every now and then. Don't waste your whole entire stamina. But what you want to do, in my view, if you're Liam Paro, is that you want to work that body early. You want to go directly to the midsection with that left hand and with that lead hand and do a right hook overall to the body, maybe following up with it. And then eventually Subriel Matias will open up to the top if you're able to do it. But once again, we'll see, because I'm just not quite sure if Liam Paro has the level of power nor the level of stamina. Although he appears to have, good power and great stamina, I don't know to what level. So once again, we'll see, because this kid Matias right here, I don't know. It's kind of hard because I haven't really seen enough of either of these fighters. Liam Paro, of course, is able to stop, Montana Love, someone who's a decently talented boxer, but also he was coming off of another knockout loss. And I don't really know, once again, the level of power and stamina that Liam Paro has. I've never seen him in a 12-round fight to where he had to go life or death with a great puncher. So I don't know how he's going to handle someone like that of a Liam Paro. And as for that of a Subriel Matias, I've never seen him in the ring with an intelligent boxer like this, at least to quite this degree. He was in there with a good boxer in there last time who had some good level power, but also a guy that thought that he was going to blow him out of the water within the first couple of rounds. Big mistake against that of Subriel Matias, and a guy that also did not have the best level of head movement. So they ended up stopping that fight within 5 rounds. So we'll see what ends up happening. I'm going to go with Subriel Matias by decision or by that ladder stoppage. But if it ended up being Liam Paro, I wouldn't be shocked whatsoever, because this is going to be, the technician versus the bulldozer. It's going to be interesting, to be honest with you. I love this fight, and I've been looking towards this fight for a very long time. So we'll see who ends up winning. But anyways, that pretty much is about it for today for this fight. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see who wins.